gentlemen, I am back with the one and only Usama Dakdok. And he's asked me to put this together today at somewhat short notice to discuss the Hamas peace deal, something very worth discussing. And of course, the question is, will they honor the peace treaty that they've signed with Trump? And of course, we all know the answer to that. So let's have your thoughts and welcome back, Usama. Good to see you again.
Hello, Brother Lloyd. Greetings to you and all your wonderful audience in the name of our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ, the only Prince of Peace. Without him, you could not make peace or have peace.
Amen. Yeah. So I mean, you know what's crazy? If you look at, I've been looking at social media, people were screaming about the genocide in Gaza. And now that there's a peace deal, people are angry that there's a peace deal. No one seems happy. There's no, you don't see that, at least on the American left, on the political left, you don't see them celebrating. Or in Europe, they seem to be upset somehow.
Yep. I think he hit his home run, especially with Rashida Tlaib, the Palestinian woman. You think she'll be the first one to celebrate and kiss the hand of her president, that is Donald Trump? No, she is.
No, they're upset because they weren't pro-peace. They were anti-Israel. They wanted Israel to be destroyed. That was the
To be
aim.
honest with you, every true Palestinian do not want to have peace with Israel, because if you have peace, that means you have not wiped out Israel from the face of the map. So how can you say we shouted from the river to the sea, Palestine will be set free, and you also shouted Allahu Akbar, which means Allah is bigger? I don't know what kind of Allah is that, how big he is, that we tried again one more time. I mean, we killed 1,200 and we were wounded with 58, 60,000. Well, let's have what we call truce, temporary peace, until maybe we can give it one more shot. 5, 10 years from now, for sure, we will take over that infidel people in our land. In our land, remember, you cannot make a peace in Islam with somebody invading your land. That is really, really bad news for the Jewish people. They will always be the invader of the Palestinian land, and they need to go out, man. We're going to kill them anyway. Just give it time. Give it some time. Next time, for sure, we'll take care of them.
Yeah. You know what bothers me is this last week, I came across a situation where someone used Grok to comment on Islamic law. And Grok can, I guess, certainly be very powerful as an AI, but Grok inevitably will lie in favor of Islam, has a strong bias towards Islam. And Grok, what I found is these AIs inevitably will try to smooth over issues and try not to be blunt about what things like the Sharia actually says. So it will try to deflect. In fact, it may as well say the Shahada and go to mosque on Fridays, because they try to really play apologists. They don't just state the facts as they are. And so people are also being incorrectly indoctrinated or trained or taught, or having Islam interpreted by these AIs, which they use on social media like X now, and getting a false picture. We're not realizing there's things like Hudna, that you have 10-year treaties, but that Muslims, it's an issue for Muslims if they actually do have peace, because it's something they should only consider tactically if they are weak, because it means that they are not performing what Allah requires, which is jihad.
Sure. Well, if you're a Muslim, you're a submitter. You submit what? To your thought? To what you like Islam to be? No, you submit to Allah and His words. You submit to Muhammad and His command. You submit to the Sunnah, and you have no choice. But what is good about being a Muslim, that there is always exception. There is no law is given in Sharia. There's no a verse in the Quran said do this unless you have this except. Unless, but, if, and when. These are very important 5 words. And if the West will not realize the importance of the exception in Islam, then you're going to get a very bad interpretation, wrong understanding to the true ideology of Islam. So you said they're weak. Well, my favorite verse, Quran chapter 47 and verse 35. I don't know. Do you have my Quran open somewhere there, or is this hard to ask for you to put up?
Okay, I don't want to suffer the trauma, but for this one time, just for you, I will I was hoping to avoid it.
I
I'm
love you, brother. Listen, listen. You are serving my thought for today, because if I do not talk to you and your people, I'll be talking to myself. And people around here in Wisconsin think I'm crazy
so
to
which
talk to myself.
surah
So
you
you
want?
do me a favor, and I will give you another two favorite back. How about that?
Yeah.
So Quran chapter 47 and verse 35. Tell me, what did Allah
And
say about peace? That is the only verse, by the way,
35.
in the
Let
Quran
me
where
get that
Allah
for
ordered
you.
peace.
And yeah, I
Huh?
just want to say hello to everyone. Thanks for joining us. I didn't say hello when we started, but
Absolutely.
thank you. Always great to see you. And Daniel
Absolutely.
Krul Vitam says, very happy to be here and learn. You're welcome. Yeah. And ChatGPT, James Vickers says, ChatGPT presented jihad as though it was an overall nice activity. When I asked it to tell me how to do it best, it refused, citing safety.
Yeah, yeah. I believe the only people benefit out of that deal are the Muslim jihadi. I'm not kidding you. The only people benefit out of this is the Muslim jihadi, and sadly, the American people, or the people who celebrating that peace treaties, are gonna figure out that soon, if it even goes through. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people think it's over. I'm sorry, we got some savage video yesterday to let you know about these people who signed that deal with the infidel, the Jews, and Trump, the Satan leader. I mean, have you seen what they were doing yesterday to their own Palestinian people? And by the way, nobody was going to tell you that genocide. I know that the Jewish people are no longer, Israel are no longer killing the Hamas member, but Hamas are the one who are killing their Palestinians. Is that genocide or no? I don't know. How does
Yeah.
this work?
Yeah. This was an X. This is, they're asking Al Thani, I think it's the foreign, for the foreign minister of UAE, I suspect. Your Hamas freedom fighters are execute. No, this is Al Thani. That's the Qatari family. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're executing
yeah,
Gazans and celebrating like it's October 7th. What are your plans as guarantor of the peace deal to tame your beasts? And here you can see those are dead bodies lying there. Those are
yeah,
legs there. So
sure.
Hamas is celebrating killing its own people.
Sure.
So
I
it has
mean,
taken this
we show,
opportunity. Here's another one.
yeah,
Um, people need to realize that the children, the children trained to kill, the children chant for death, the children pose with weapons, the children want to be martyrs. This is something that is, it's not just the adults, that they are indoctrinated from childhood, from when they're still 3, 4 years old.
and Lloyd, if you know the doctrine of revenge or retaliation in Islam, what Sharia teach, yeah, that is a video I was talking about.
Where the
I don't know.
leftist
Can you?
protests now, yeah, from Ted Cruz, legitimate. These are public executions hours after signing the peace treaty with Israel, and that's Hamas killing its own people in the
It
streets,
is
just like that.
very barbaric. This is exactly what they did to the Christian in Iraq, ISIS, or Daesh, or I mean, that's what Muslims are. I mean, I'm sorry. How you can paint a Muslim except those who are Muslims? They practice Islam. So anyway, so obviously they killed so many people yesterday, and because these people are happy to have peace. No, 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 no. You got it wrong. We're not gonna have peace. We're gonna have cease of fighting for a limited time. I guarantee you, it will not pass 10 years. It will not pass 10 years. So,
No, it
will
won't.
they
I
lay
don't think it will
down
go
their
that long
weapons?
either.
Yeah,
And I mean, Hamas here openly admits it has no intention of disarming or giving up power in Gaza, which are two of the requirements. Someone very wise once said that when you're dealing with Muslims, in when you sign a peace treaty, the deal is not the conclusion. The deal is only the start of the negotiation. This treaty is the beginning of the negotiations because they're going to break every rule to get their way.
exactly. Exactly. And I'm going to share with our wonderful audience in the first the peace treaty breaker in Islam. Actually, there are two of them. One, his name is Allah, and the other one, his name is Muhammad. As we're going to go to Quran chapter 9, the final word of Allah, verse 1. 9:1 tells us exactly. But let's first read about this verse here. Quran 47:35. You got that verse ready for me, brother?
Uh, let me go back to it. I just accidentally scrolled away
That's
from
okay.
it.
No
Let me
problem.
go
Hey,
back.
we got a whole 50 minutes to continue our study. 47:35, the only peaceful verse in the Quran. Imagine that. That is the only verse where Muslims are allowed to practice peace with infidels. So what did Allah say here?
Muslims must never make peace
Whoa,
when
whoa,
they
whoa.
have
What
won
about the
the
bold
upper.
statement, brother? Do you see the bold statement? Do you think I wrote this by accident?
No, because it says, "Do not be weak and do not call
No,
for
no, no.
peace
Go
when you
up,
have
above. The
above.
bold statement. Muslims what?
Must never make peace when they have won the upper hand."
Thank you. That is the whole idea of what happened yesterday. Now, read the verse. What the verse says.
So do not be weak and do not call for peace when you have the upper hand, he says. And Allah is with you, and he will not leave you for your works.
That's the work of jihad, by the way. It's not like work you go sweat and to provide money for your family. That is the work of jihad. So, let me ask you a question. Do you believe Hamas have any power left in them right now?
I
Can they
think
continue that war for another month?
they have power locally, and they are going to exercise it. They need to make an example, which they have. And I think that they will regroup. They've simply been given the chance again to regroup, rearm, and then they will come back.
What about the 2,250 Muslim coming back from Israel to join them? Don't you think that's a good boost?
Yes, in fact, because that'll be people with experience because the leadership's been wiped out. So they need those people who have experience in running these networks. So yeah, I think it might benefit them.
Yeah, yeah. People are asking me, what do you think of Israel making that dumb decision? I said, it's not actually a dumb decision. It's a good decision for both. It's a good decision for Hamas because they're going to have their leader and those who have the experience back to on their side instead of locked up in some prison for life. And it is good for Israel because now Israel can kill them. You know, as long as Israel have these people in their prison systems, they cannot kill them. But if they go to the field and carry arm and they're gonna go in war again against Israel, this time they will be literally killing a bunch of them. But the idea of having peace with Hamas, it's a comedy, it's an oxymoron. It does not fit with Islam. And the evidence is what we have seen they are doing, Hamas leaders are doing to their own people in Gaza. Yesterday.
I just
Yesterday.
want, you're right. No, look, I mean, to shoot people in the head, which is execution style, like gangsters in the street, right after signing a peace deal, is shocking. If this were happening in London, the left would actually cheer for that. The Muslims may actually cheer for that. But if Trump had to do something like that, of course they would condemn that as utterly wrong. But when their favorite fascists do it, then it's okay. I
Yeah,
just want to bring up something from the Sharia. Just to give
sure.
people an example, we're going to look at truces for a moment, but listen to this. This is from the Sharia. When an adult male is taken captive, the caliph considers the interests of the Islam and the Muslims. And if there's no caliph, then the man in charge does, right? Whoever's in charge. He decides between the prisoner's death, between slavery, release without paying anything, or ransoming him, right? And if the prisoner becomes a Muslim, then he may not be killed, and one of the other three alternatives is chosen, right? And notice Muslims love to say we have the best rules of war in Islam. It says it is permissible in jihad to cut down the enemy's trees and destroy their dwellings. Muslims love to tell you, no, it's not permissible. Well, the Sharia says exactly the opposite. And in fact,
Yeah.
it even says you can kill women and children, even your own.
Mhm.
It's just collateral damage, right?
Yeah.
But it says here, truces in sacred law, a truce means a peace treaty with those hostile to Islam, not hostile to the Palestinians, not hostile to the Pakistanis. It's hostile to Islam.
Anyone who is considered a non-Muslim, I mean, literally, if you are not a Muslim, even if you're jihadi, I'm sorry, if you are a hypocrite Muslim, Quran 47, Quran chapter 73, teach, I believe, 73, 973. We're going to look at this verse if you have a minute. 973. It teach that Muhammad to perform jihad against the hypocrites. I mean,
Yeah,
you cannot go more than that. But go ahead, brother.
yeah. And it says here, It's a peace treaty with those hostile to Islam involving a cessation of fighting for only a specified period. But it says truces are permissible, they're not obligatory. You're allowed to, but it's not obligatory. And let's see what it says here, right? It is a matter of the gravest consequence to have a truce, to be at peace and not make jihad, because it means the non performance of jihad, whether globally or in a given locality. So pieces are actually frowned upon because they want you to make war, and Allah doesn't like you making peace because it means you aren't doing jihad globally. Isn't that
Exactly.
fascinating? And there
Right.
must be an interest served in making a truce other than mere preservation of the status quo. You can't go back to, let's all live and let live. No, 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 no. There must be a good reason why you're not making war. So do not be
Yeah.
faint-hearted and call for peace when it is you are the uppermost. Quran 47:35, the one we just quoted.
Absolutely.
Hopefully
Yeah.
people can see the Sharia teaches Islam is violent. It is meant to be so.
And you think about how Muhammad practiced these verses. Remember that Muhammad made some treaty for 10 years. It was exactly 10 years that Muhammad picked up with the infidels of Quraysh. And that treaty did not even last 6 years because
Yep.
Muhammad came back to Quraysh 2 years, a year before he died. So it actually 4 years or so before the treaty is over. And we go to Quran 9, verse 1, and it's over. So it's not because I said I'm gonna have peace with you, bunch of infidels, for 10 years that I have to honor that 10 years. No, it is a portion of time for me to may strengthen myself, get enough people to fight. And if I got these people and I got enough weapon in 4 years and 6 years and 7 years, it doesn't matter. Whenever I am ready to come back to fight, I will come back to fight. No such a thing as Allah or Muhammad or any Muslim will respect this treaty, peace treaty, because it's with one purpose and one purpose only. I gather my power, I gather my men, and I come back to fight and kill you. What did Allah say in 9:1 here?
Says that Allah will shame the infidel. So travel in the land 4 months and know that you will not hinder Allah, and that Allah will shame the infidels.
Verse 1, Brother Lloyd.
Allah and His Messenger are innocent from the polytheists with whom you have a covenant.
You know what they're talking about? Forget about that peace treaty you have with them. We're innocent of it. We're breaking it. That is what is Allah is innocent. It is over. Yeah, we told you 6 years ago we're going to have a treaty with you for 10 years. Never mind. Kiss it goodbye. We're here to wipe you out. That is
Yeah.
the interpretation of that verse.
So when the forbidden months are past, kill the polytheists wherever you find them and take them as captives and besiege them. Lay wait for them with every kind of ambush. That describes October 7th very well.
Exactly. By the way, if you go and read the interpretation of this verse by all scholars, Muslim scholars, they will tell you that the forbidden months were the 4 months where they normally will not fight in them, and Allah in His grace and Muhammad His grace gave the people these 4 months to run for their life. If I catch you, but wait a minute, you already have deal with these people for 10 years. Forget about it. It's already been broken in 9:1. And when you go to 9:6, because I love how
So
Muslims
the,
love to
so
read
the only
9:6.
reason Muslims do treaties now is because they don't have the strength for open
Exactly.
warfare.
No enough
Or
weapon,
they're
not enough
doing a
power.
different kind of jihad. Jihad
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
mouth or the pen or something else.
Well, yeah. But if you go to 9:6, which Muslims love to read, see, look, you misunderstand. That 9:6 is abrogated by 9:5 when the end of the 4 months comes. So you have 4 months. Anybody can hear the Quran. Anybody can listen to the Quran. Anybody can become a Muslim. But after this 4 months, we catch you, we kill you.
But those 4 months are, well, they passed a long time ago.
1450 years ago, exactly. It's not like every year, 4 months. It is the last time before Muhammad returned to Mecca as a warrior, victorious warrior with his 10,000 men. And he kissed
You know,
that covenant deal he have with the children of Israel and the Christians and the idol worshiper goodbye. That's it.
Someone who loves to talk about Sharia, at least on occasion, is Paul Williams. And he's at the moment, he's on a whole thing about Ibn Taymiyyah. And of course, Ibn Taymiyyah has written some pretty violent stuff. He's the godfather of jihad in Islam. He wrote this
Sure.
book, The Religious and Moral Doctrine of Jihad, right? And it says here, the full title is Governance According to Allah's Law in Reforming the Ruler and His Flock. And in fact, it says that to govern under Islam, you have to use jihad because it's a moral and religious doctrine. It seems to be that it's somehow something to do with religion. Because I think terrorism has a religion. It's called Islam.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it even says here, using force to choose the Khalifa. One way the Khalifa is chosen, let me just go here. One way the Khalifa is chosen is through the use of force, right? Ash-Shafi believed that a person who seizes power and then is accepted by the people is a legitimate Khalifa. So in other words, if you have a military coup, a violent coup, and seize power, it's legit. And now we believe that if someone forces himself on the Ummah, then he should be accepted. And forceful seizure of power, according to Ibn Khaldun, Al-Asqalani, and Al-Juwayni, someone is legitimate.
Yeah.
And after someone has seized power by Ibn Taymiyyah, then that person's legitimate. So violent overthrow is normal.
And Brother, you're absolutely right. And if you study the history of Islam concerning the new caliphate which came after Muhammad, they came to power because they killed the previous one. So you're a strong Khalifa, but I came and I killed you. Guess what? I am more stronger than you. I am the new Khalifa. End of story.
Yeah. No. And this is, Ibn Khaldun actually says, and he's very, very famous, as everyone knows.
Yeah, he's a great Muslim scholar, thinker.
And he says in the Muslim community, the holy war is a religious duty. There's an obligation to convert everybody to Islam by persuasion or by force. And he says here, the other religious groups did not have a universal mission. Holy war is not a religious duty to them, as is the case with Islam. These other religions are merely required to establish their religion among their own people. But of course, Muslims have to establish it amongst everybody. They have to conquer everyone.
The whole world. Let's, if you don't mind, can we go to Quran chapter 3, verse 28? Because this is, I believe, one of the reasons why Qatar accepted the idea to make the peace. Because, to be honest with you, that is how they are protecting themselves. And that's how even Hamas members are being helped by all the Muslim countries which signed these peace treaties because they are protecting them. This is what we call the Taqiyya verse. It's a very well-known verse. It is how Muslims protect themselves from their enemy, the infidels, by pretending to be their friend. Let me say it again. By pretending to be their friend, not because they choose to become their friends. Because once again, as we're going to read or share with you the interpretation of Quran 328 by Al-Jalalain, it will blow your mind. So first of all, go ahead, read the bold statement if you don't mind, and then the verse if you don't mind.
It says, Muslims who make friends with unbelievers lose their salvation. But Muslims can make temporary friendships with infidels only when the Muslims are weak until they have the upper hand.
The verse we quoted a minute ago. So let's read 28.
Believers do not take the infidels for friends rather than the believers. And whoever does this, he has nothing to do with Allah, except that you do this to guard yourself from them cautiously.
And Allah himself warn you. You know the language here? It's not like Allah advise you, Allah really give you good advice. No. And Allah himself warn you if I'm sorry, I cannot see it here.
Sorry?
Read the rest of the verse, please. I don't have my glasses. I can't see.
And Allah himself warns you, and to Allah is the final return. Say,
all right,
whether you hide what is in your chests.
Yeah, that's good enough. So here is the interpretation of that verse to understand exactly what Allah is talking about. Al-Jalalain said, Muslims cannot ever make friends with infidels, Jews or Christians. Now, they made a peace yesterday with the Jews and the Christians. Anyway, and he said, the only time they can be friends with them if the Muslim will use only his tongue, not his heart, to make that friendship. Can you imagine? I tell you, you are my friend. You are my special friend with my tongue, with my mouth, but not my heart. My heart is not involved in it. And he said clearly, who can do that? He said, this can only practice by whom? By those who have, who are in a small minority who live in the land of the infidels. Man, oh man, you can't have any clearer than that. So the Jewish people are infidels. The Hamas and their people, Gaza, are small in number. They have no powers. They have not enough weapon or people to wipe out the Jewish people. Therefore, you can protect yourself by pretending with your tongue to have them as friends.
Yeah.
It's all clear. It's all clear. It's in the word of Allah. You cannot go wrong with practicing the word of Allah because Allah, in His wisdom, He knows that there will be a time for the Muslims who live amongst the infidels. They have to bite their tongue and pretend to be friends with the infidels, and they call them our special friends
Yeah.
until when they have the upper hand. And there is a warning there. Careful. Allah Himself is warning you. Don't you dare do it when you have the upper hand. Don't you dare do it when you have enough men and a weapon to wipe them out. This
Well,
is clear talk, man.
it says here, that not everybody knows, but of course Muslims say, no, 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 no. Taqiyya is not a Sunni Islamic thing. It's a Shia thing. Well, just so you know, it's commonly called taqiyya in the Sunni literature. However, technically, in Sunni Islam, it's called mudarat. See it here, mudarat, right? That's the term that they use. And it says here, it is the practice of treating others in a friendly manner while concealing your true attitude towards them. Diplomacy.
Same language, same language of Al Jalalain in his interpretation to Quran
And
320.
and in fact, it says that if you go further into this, it says that someone who conceals his hatred of the kafir, treating them friendly manner, but actually hates them and obviously then works against them secretly, he actually dies and has exactly the same honor as a jihadi. Because
Sure.
someone who dies in jihad has earns paradise 100 levels greater than the normal human. And someone who does this actually achieves the same level of jihad.
If you have the intent in your heart to perform jihad, it is equal to those who perform jihad. It's just Allah took you earlier before you fulfill your desire to perform jihad for the sake of Allah. And if not, you're in deep trouble with Allah. So every Muslim ought to have this hard desire. Man, I can't wait to kill a Jew or to kill a Christian. Exactly.
I
All right.
mean,
So
but
we
Islam's a
have that
religion of
online.
peace. Well, what do you mean? What kill a Jew? What are you talking about? This cannot be true.
Yeah, because it just happened. I'm Islamophobe, and I misunderstood the Quran. I'm reading it out of context,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
I'm not really.
let's see what Muhammad tells us. The apostle said, Muhammad said, kill any Jew that falls into your power. So Mahisa bin Masud leapt upon Ibn Sunayna, a Jewish merchant with whom he had social and business relations, and killed him. His elder brother began to beat him, saying, "You enemy of God, of Allah, did you kill him when much of the fat in your belly comes from his wealth?" And Muhayyis answered, "Had the one who ordered me to kill him ordered me to kill you, I would have cut your head off." And this was the
Mashallah.
beginning of the elder brother's acceptance of Islam.
Hey,
So,
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu
yes, and
Akbar.
he
My
said,
brother
by
is a true
Allah,
Muslim believer. He's
a
willing to obey
religion,
Muhammad.
a religion which can bring you to this is marvelous. So he became a Muslim.
Yeah. Do you know how many Muslim killed their own family members because Muhammad said so? And they went kill his father, or
Yeah.
he killed his son, or he killed his brother. It's Islam. It's a savage cult
So
of
why
Islam.
doesn't I mean, why don't the negotiators, the American State Department, why don't these other people seem to know this stuff? I mean, they've got the most money, they've got the best advisors, they've got, why don't they know this stuff? Why don't they listen to the people who say these things? Are they trying to be diplomatic?
Yeah. Well, it is political correctness, brother, which is the worst enemy for freedom. And add to that, it's also facing the reality. The only way you can remove that savage cult from the face of the earth is not only to kill the leaders. You said earlier in our broadcast today that their children and their grandchildren are right now willing to go and fight. Literally, gives them enough time. They grow up, these little boys, they're going to grow up to be worse than their fathers, especially if you killed their
Wow.
fathers and their grandfathers. I told you the doctrine of revenge. Retaliation is ordained for the Muslim. And when Muslims retaliate, it's most likely it's because there's something, you killed one of us, we kill 100 or 1,000 of you. This is just how Islam always practices. It's not one for one, as Allah said. One for one is Muslim to Muslims. So if you're a Muslim and you kill one of my family, we kill you one for one. But if you're an infidel, we already ordered by Allah to wipe you out. We're already commanded by Allah to perform jihad and kill the last infidel. And when the infidel kill us, oh, you started, buddy. You really are, you're pushing me. You know what I'm saying? You are pushing me. That's why when you tell me before that there will be a big civil war coming up in Europe, and I told you, Brother Lloyd, I hope and I pray that they will not come, because if it did come, there are plenty of Muslims in Europe cannot wait for some French or some British or some Spanish or some Swedish or some Polish, anyone who will just start killing some Muslims. They will be the savagest animals. They will burn Europe to the ground. They will do everything they can to annihilate and remove any non-Muslim from the face of the earth, including killing themselves to do it. They will be more than joyful, happy to do it for Allah. I will put a vest around my chest so I can kill you with that vest, which is simply a big bomb. Do you have anything else you want to share, or do you want to move to something else?
Up to you. No, nothing at the moment. So over to you.
All right. How about look for in my Quran? Look for the word terror. Look the word terror. I think this will speak volume. There are 6 verses in the Quran where Allah mentioned the word terror. So let's take them one at a time. One at a time. Where, by the way, if you go to Quran chapter 59, verse 3, I believe, or verse 12. Oh, verse 12. That is the most amazing verse. It's short verse, but 59, verse 12. What do we have? Allah said there. By the way, 2 also mentioned terror. Can you read 2 for us first, brother? 2 before 12. 2 and 13. 2 and 13. I apologize. What 2 said?
So, contrary to claims that Muslims did not cut trees in conquered lands, verse 5 indicates that Muslims can. We just showed that from the Sharia, oddly enough. He is who drives out those who became infidels from the people of the book, from their homes in the first gathering. He did not think that they would come out, and they thought that the Hisun, what the heck is that?
Hisun, they're fortress. They're big buildings.
Their fortress would defend them from Allah. So Allah came to them from where they did not reckon, and He cast terror in their hearts. They demolished their houses with their hands and the hands of the believers. So take lessons, O you who are of the substantial sight.
Notice here, Allah in the verse is a terrorist because He is the one who cast terror. He is Allah, cast terror in their hearts. Let's go verse 13, same chapter since we're there.
You are a greater terror in their chests than Allah. This is because they are people who do not understand.
All over the Quran, we know that Allah is bigger, Allah is the stronger, Allah is the greater, Allah is the best deceiver. But that is only verse where I see that Allah made a mistake, or I don't know what it is, that Allah actually made the Muslim believers to be greater than Allah. They are the one who make us terrified more than Allah Himself. More than Allah Himself. So, let's go to Quran. You have something to share, brother.
I just want to make just a point I want to make here, just to show something. Sure. This book is called The Quranic Concept of War.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I thought Islam is a religion of peace, and I thought the Quran is a book of peace. But this is The Quranic Concept of War by Brigadier S.K. Malik, with a foreword by General M. Zia-ul Haq. Right? And this is really fascinating. It's really fascinating because this guy, Brigadier S.K. Malik, was, I think the chief of the army, and I think M. Zia-ul Haq became the president of Pakistan. So what you have is that this book then, which is like, Sun Tzu's Art of War. Sun Tzu has an art of war. This is like the Islamic art of war. And this is getting government sanction that, yes, the Quran teaches us how to wage war. So you've got government sanction here. So if I go back to the previous one, um, so this is actually a discussion on this, the Quranic concept of war, Joseph C. Myers, and they actually are discussing, right? But it says here, I'll just move this one quote: the universalism of Islam and its all-embracing creed is imposed on the believers as a continuous process of warfare, psychological and political, if not strictly military. The jihad may be stated as a doctrine of a permanent state of war, not continuous fighting.
Yeah, in Sharia, if I remember reading, Muslim ought to perform jihad as individual, just go everybody fight jihad himself. But if not enough Muslim to do it, then you have to force all the Muslim to go like an army, like together to perform jihad. One of the astonishing things, like, oh, you mean is like I pray 5 times a day, 5 times a day, I perform jihad? Yep. And if we have enough people to keep killing the infidels, it was fine. But if not, then we're gonna force everybody to go and perform jihad as army, all together. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Anything else you want to share from that book about Joseph?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to watch what's happening on the right when you've got things like Tucker Carlson and
Yeah.
Candace Owens talking about Islam being a religion of peace. It is just insane.
I don't believe Tucker really talk about Islam religion of peace. Is he?
You know, you've got this guy here, Oive Preach Talmud. I'm not sure who this guy is. If um, Look, you clearly are vastly ignorant of what the Talmud actually teaches. You've been lied to, and you've accepted those lies, which is unfortunate. You're ignorant, and you're not even aware of it. But even if the Talmud said these things, that doesn't negate the fact that Islam teaches these things quite explicitly. So I fully understand you're going to take snippets out of the Talmud, out of context, and you're going to try to imply it says something it does not. But here we have you actually unhappy with the fact that Islam, because you love these Muslims, actually teaches explicitly the kind of violence that you claim the Talmud teaches. So you're the one who's fake and gay. You're the one who's ignorant and gay, probably. You're the one who's probably slobbering down Islamic phallus, as far as I can tell. Excuse my French. Over to you, Osama.
Well, I was gonna get four more verses from the Quran to learn about the tyranny. Quran. Let's since we're there, scroll down to 33, and let's see how Muhammad practiced. Uh,
Which surah?
33, chapter 33, verses 26 and 27. 26
33,
and 27.
26, 27.
These are good couple verses, which I love to quote because show you how Muhammad understood jihad and tyranny and how he practiced that in with the Bani Qurayza. These are the Jewish community of Bani Qurayza.
Yep. So he says Muhammad is bragging about terrorizing, killing, and enslaving the Jews and Christians. He then brags about inheriting their properties. See also verse 59, 2. And he brought down the people of the book who backed them from their strong places, and he cast the terror into their hearts. A group of them you are killing, and a group of them you are taking captive. And he made you to inherit their land and their homes and their money, and a land which you had never set foot on. And Allah was mighty over all things.
This is the reality. The casting of the terror, the killing of the men, the raping of the women and the children. It is Islam. And every time I read this, and he made you to inherit the land which you had never set foot on, that is every inch where Muslims are living today outside of the 56 Muslim countries. So if you see Muslim right now anywhere in Europe, anywhere in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, here in America, South America, they already walk on that land. That land is there to inherit. That's what Muslims believe. Allah brought them to that point of this piece of property somewhere, and they walk it with their foot. That is their inheritance, like it or not.
Yep. I mean, let's show this, and maybe this gay dude that was on earlier might learn something. Sharia ruling on enemy lands. Okay, this is from the Sharia. This is on the Dar al Harb, which is the house of war, right? Or enemy lands, as it's termed. And it says areas where Muslims reside, right? So basically, you ask yourself, is Britain Dar al Harb, right? Or is
Sure.
America Dar al Harb? And the answer is technically no, it is not. Even though it is technically, supposedly a British country, a Muslim, a Christian country, it is not considered the Dar al Harb anymore. You are Harbis, you are enemies of Allah, certainly you as individuals, but the country is already Muslim. How do they know? Because
Because
areas where Muslims reside and there's a remnant of Islam's rules, even if this is limited to marriages, these are considered Muslim lands. So America is by Muslims considered a Muslim country now. They've already taken over the country. As far as they're concerned, under their rules,
it just
Britain, the
they
UK,
said
France.
it just was time. Is they said what I cannot accomplish, my great grandchildren for sure will accomplish, and it's reality, by the way.
Yeah,
Lloyd, this is we can talk about it as just a conversation. When Muslim is like cancer, when cancer go to a human body, it will
mhm.
take over the body. The body will die sooner or later. It will die. Just give it enough time to go from stage 1 to stage 4, and the doctor will tell you you got 6 months to live, or maybe 11 months to live.
Yeah, no, exactly. But people need to realize these Sharia courts are just allowing Muslim practices like Austria just allowed Muslim practices which don't interfere with the state. Muslim marriages are rife. So this, because they are allowed to get away with it, they now say, well, yeah, we've taken over this country. We've imposed Islam. And it's just a matter of time until it's official, at least for you. For them, it's already done. It's a done deal. They've colonized, they've planted their flag.
Yeah,
So very, very scary stuff.
absolutely. It's sick. It is sick, and this what is make it to me twice as difficult. Like you mentioned earlier, Lloyd, why is the people in the West do not know that? Why is the leaders do not know that? I mean, is it so hard for them to read a book? Is it so hard for them to interview somebody who knows something about Islam to share with them some truths so they can save their land, save their country, save their future, their children? God help us. Instead of we are fighting Islam overseas, now we have to fight that our children will not in the West will not believe in the garbage lies they're teaching. And sadly, many of them are being deceived.
Yeah,
Sadly. I mean,
scary
still
stuff.
think about it. Yeah. While Muslims in Iran are leaving Islam, the Americans are becoming Muslims. What is
Yeah.
that?
You know what? I
Uh,
mean, I see. Look, I see. I saw a video yesterday. Fascinating video out of Holland. There were hundreds of Dutch men with the Dutch flag, and they were singing songs. They were going to all these Muslim areas in force. I mean, hundreds of them, and they were
yeah.
going to all of these asylum hotels, and they were screaming loudly, "This is Holland. This is our country. Get out!" And I mean, this is the sentiment is changing, and people. I think we're one match away from a massive forest fire. And then, by the way, the Palisades fire in the US, they've caught the perpetrator. It was a crazy leftist who loves starting fires. I mean, so yeah, you've got a leftist who tried to save the planet or whatever by burning it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, uh, I really want to share with you a couple more verses um because, okay, look for Quran chapter 8. Quran chapter 8. I cannot remember the number. Look for the word terror. Just go up on my
Oh,
Quran,
Terra. Let's
please.
just look at Terra again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we just saw that one. Terra into their hearts. Here's the next one. Um, Intercession will not profit except for the one who receives permission until when at last their hearts will be relieved from terror. They said, what does your Lord say? They said the truth, and he's high, the big. The big. What the heck? Who provides for you? Yeah,
The word kabir.
yeah, but it's just crazy. It's like big. It's just kind of like we're bigger than you, so therefore you do what I say. Sounds like the mafia.
Yeah, my daddy bigger than your daddy. He take him out. That's the idea. That's the idea. What other verses was terror?
I will.
Quran 8. I know there is at least Quran 860. Let's look for Quran 860. I think it's the right one. I hope and I pray that it is the right
You're
word.
right. 860 is actually the motto of the Muslim Brotherhood. It's actually the motto of the Muslim Brotherhood, and it's actually the quote on the black flag of Islam. Remember the black flag of terror, right?
Yeah.
860 is actually the motto here.
As things there's terror there as well. Yeah.
Muslims are commanded to attack and terrorize the infidels. Allah will repay them for what they spend. This is the theme which Muslim believers often use, that's seen in the Muslim Brotherhood's logo. Yes, notice verse 61 is abrogated by 9:5. So prepare for them whatever power you can of the tying of horses. Strike terror into the heart of the enemy of Allah and your enemy and others. Without them, you do not know them. Allah knows them. And what you spend from anything for the sake of Allah it will be repaid for you.
Yeah, that is jihad of money. Because spending when it comes with terror, spending when it comes with war, we're talking about jihad with money. As Allah stated, those who believe and migrated and perform jihad for the sake of Allah with their money and their life. Quran chapter 9, verses 20, 21, 22. The three powerful verses. But here we see once again terror, cast terror into the heart of the enemy. So how can you make peace with people Allah is asking you to terrorize? How can you make peace with people where Allah asks you to kill? And you call yourself a Muslim? No, 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 no. There is a time, as we read in Quran 3:28, Quran 47:35, where Muslims have to make peace. Why? Because that's a wise thing. Why? Because they follow the Sunnah of Muhammad. What did Muhammad do? He agreed to have peace with Quraysh, with the people of Quraysh, for 10 years. Why? Because he did not have power. He did not have enough men or weapon to wipe them out. But within 6 years after that, whatever number of months it was, he have enough people, 10,000 men, he have enough weapon. He came back and wipes them out.
I just want to show here this is from the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Iran, right? And I just closed it. Let me just bring it up here. This is from the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is from the opening preamble to the Constitution. And it says here, a religious army. And in the formation and equipping of the country's defense forces, attention must be paid to faith and ideology as the basic criteria. Accordingly, the army of the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps are to be organized in conformity with this goal, faith and ideology, right? They will be responsible not only for guarding and preserving the borders of the country, but for fulfilling the ideological mission of jihad in Allah's way. That is, extending the sovereignty of Allah's law throughout the world in accordance with the Quranic verse, prepare against them whatever force you are able to muster, and strings of horses, striking fear into the enemy of Allah and your enemy and others besides them. Quran 8:60.
That's powerful. Maybe that's why Iran was supporting Hamas and Hezbollah. I mean, think about it. They supported the Sunni and the Shiite to wipe out the enemy Israel. Man.
Yeah. And this is,
God
I mean,
help.
you know what? People don't want to take these people at their word. You know? It's like people don't want to take them at their word. It's crazy. They're saying it to our faces. They're saying it. It's in their legal documents.
Look to the word to the angels. Search for the word in my Quran to the angels. To the angels. That's another verse. There, I'm trying to remember the word, the location, but of course we're doing this podcast on the note here without really digging and get ourselves ready. So you and I are just chasing rabbit, but that's good. So far, so good. And his angels, Allah and his angels, and his angels.
Allah and his angels.
Or
There
just
we
his
go.
angels.
Found it. Not this one, right?
What is this? Read it.
Allah and his angels pray for believers. To whom is Allah praying? Not this one, right?
No. Take.
Allah and his angels pray on Muhammad, or pray for Muhammad. To whom is Allah praying?
MashaAllah.
Whoever was an enemy to Allah and his angels and his messengers and Jibreel and Mikael So surely Allah is an enemy to the infidels.
How can you be a friend with people whom Allah is their enemies? Uh, when Allah said to his angels, just put the word his angels, I hope it will not be too many there. There are not too many in the Quran. His angels.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. So
Let
if Allah hates
me
you,
see,
then
Brother Lloyd, search
what?
for his angels.
Just his angels.
His angels. His angels.
Yeah, got it. So I'm just looking again. And the believers all believed in Allah and his angels and the books
Nope,
and his
not
messengers.
that. Not that.
Whoever becomes an infidel in Allah and his angels and his books and his messengers and the last day.
That's not the
So
right one.
indeed,
That's not right.
yeah. What's that?
That's not the right verse. Hmm.
It's
Anyway,
busy looking. Yeah.
your computer finished looking.
Yep. It's found everything. His angels. It's again back to who is Allah praying for?
Prayer.
Who is Allah praying to?
Yeah, Allah pray. Oh no. Does Muslim have any logical or common sense? How can Allah pray to who? Yeah, yeah. Um,
You know.
it is sad. Now let me ask a question I asked you earlier, Brother Lloyd. Can you make peace with your enemies?
We are
In
I think
Islam, in Islam. Not,
Christians are instructed to look from a Christian perspective, we are
yeah,
expected to love our enemies, but we're also not expected to be naive and think that we can necessarily trust our enemies.
that's the
Whereas
problem with the West right now.
in
That's the
Islam, you're
problem.
permitted to deceive your enemies.
If Allah taught the Muslim never to take the Jews and Christian for friends, do you think he will be happy with them to make peace with them?
I mean, they can make peace only if it serves the benefit of putting them ahead somehow, of defending them from destruction if they are weak.
Exactly. Exactly. It is the whole idea. Quran 551. Oh, you have believed, do not take the Jews and Christian for friends. I mean, it's clear cut verses. It's not like maybe this, maybe that, maybe no, it is clear cut words of Allah. You should never take the Jews and Christian for friends. But as we said in 328, yeah, you take them as friend when you need to protect yourself from them, man, cautiously. Be careful now, because the warning of Allah is in the same verse. Don't you dare become friends for real with them. Brother Lloyd, I hate to say that that peace propaganda will not last long time. I wonder, even if this idea of Hamas lay down their weapon will ever be fulfilled. And you know that it's the second important part of the deal. The first part is give us our hostage. The second part is
You know,
lay down your weapon.
you made me think of something I was thinking about today. Trump forced a peace deal, which is maybe good and bad. I mean, you can argue both sides. However, the hostages are back. One of the things that was preventing a full-scale assault in Gaza was wanting to try to save the lives of the hostages, to not accidentally kill them. Now that those hostages are back and that the enemies have been taken out of those prisons, those terrorists have been removed from Israeli prisons, and they're now in Gaza, what stops Trump from dropping the mother of all bombs? They've got plenty of these smaller GBU 19s, I think they called, whatever, the smaller bunker busters, not the ones they dropped in Iran. They've got tons of the
Oh
little
no, one
ones.
Iran is
And
huge,
those
man.
can hit those tunnels. Now, what's to stop? If Hamas breaks the treaty, there's every reason to now go in and finish the job. Because maybe it was a setup for that. Maybe it gives them
You know what?
leverage.
If this is Trump agenda, what a brilliant man. Not only he killed Hamas in Gaza, but he brings the other 2,000 with them. Because I guarantee you, if they will not give up their weapon and submit, leave the country for the people of Gaza, they will pick up someone new leader, somebody to help them with the help of all the. I mean, step number 2 is supposed to be rebuilding Gaza. That is coming up. How? Hamas gave up their weapon. Hamas laid down their weapon and they walk out and let the people of Gaza pick up their own leaders. If they don't do that, I think Trump have all the right, Israel have all the right to wipe them out, even though
So,
500,000 is coming back.
I mean, look, what would be great? I think we should have what's called Gaza Lake. We just create a new landscape feature called Gaza Lake, and then Trump builds hotels around it, and people can sail in it with little islands. That'd be great. Maybe like that.
Yeah, brother, the next few days are very crucial for that
Yeah,
peace contract, because you and I and anyone who knows some little bit information about Islam, we know it is a temporary peace. That's why we call it cease of fighting, hudna in the Arabic language, or truce in English, as I believe that's the right way to say the word. It is no such a thing as a peace. It's just give me enough time to gather enough people so I can go on war and wipe the Jewish people off the face of the earth. That's exactly what it is.
right.
Now, are they going to do it that way? Uh, I mean, but Hamas have to lay down their weapon. Otherwise, the contract is not done.
I
I know
think
what. Yeah,
you're just letting them live another day. You're just letting them regroup and come back, find another way.
do
They
you think?
already
Here's a question for you. Do you think the people of Gaza trust Hamas anymore?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you've got the optics of peace and bringing, but are they going to start pushing for the two-state solution again? These are questions that I have because we know that doesn't work. We know that the only solution is the one-state solution. You give the entire Middle East to Israel to run.
Yeah. You know, I,
Right.
I believe what Mus'ab, son of Hamas, said
Yep.
a few days ago was absolutely right. He said October 7th did not happen because Hamas were seeking to have a state. It happened because we gave them one. When they took Gaza, that's when they did what they did on October 7th. If it was not because Bush forced the Jewish people out of Gaza 20 years ago, if it was not for Bush, these 1,200 people were killed, would not be killed today. Because Israel was inside Gaza, the Jewish police is inside Gaza, the military of Israel is inside Gaza. They could not dig a tunnel. How are you going to dig a tunnel? What are you doing down there? Well, I'm digging a tunnel. Why? So I can go out of Israel to out of Gaza to Israel. Are you kidding me? The only reason they dig the tunnels, I mean, they spent millions of dollars. They have enough tunnels to run metro underground in any country in the world. That's how many tunnels they have. Very sophisticated project. But anyway, and they did that because there was nobody to stop them from digging the tunnel because Israel
Yeah.
police and Israel armies were out of Gaza. That is the only reason why October 7th took place, because we gave them an inch and they were hoping to move for the mile. That
Yeah.
is Islam in a nutshell.
I mean, look, I've got fatigue with this whole thing because I am tired of the woke left. I am tired of everything turning gay. I am tired of Islamic riots and Islamic marches and hate marches and at some point, these people have picked a side. They're very tribal. And at some point, even the best people with the best of intentions like us, we're gonna go, okay, look, you've made your intentions clear. You made the rules. Right, we're just playing the game now. And if we're going to pick a side and you are going to wipe us out, as with Charlie Kirk without shooting, we know what their plan is. Then at some point, someone's going to say, you know what, I'm sick and tired as well. I'm just going to wipe you out. You
Yeah,
know, that's
I'm
the
sick
sad
and
thing.
tired
There's no
of
good faith on their side. You know?
you're absolutely right, and I've been through what you're talking about. I'm sick and tired more than that of the people of the West joining the Muslim against us.
Mm.
This is, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You are being used as stupid, useful idiot, and you don't even know it. They think that if they love the Muslim and stand up with the Muslim and protest with the Muslim and help the Muslims, they will be safe. You're not going to be safe. You're helping them to take over your land so they can wipe people like us out, and they will wipe you too. You will be wiped out. I guarantee it. It's a
Yeah.
fact.
Overtext makes a good point. There's a lot of people, look, something like 80% of people in Gaza support Hamas, which is Muslim Brotherhood. This is the
Yeah.
Muslim Brotherhood. They're the armed wing of the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the world's largest secret society dedicated towards pushing Islam into the governments of the world, pushing it into schools, universities, judiciary, media. They are there to take over. They've got a plan by 2028 to overthrow America. So the 80% of the people in Gaza are radicals. I mean, the vast majority, and the rest are probably just less radical, but still not what you'd want to call friendly.
They can easily
So,
be persuaded to become part of them as well. Because, by the way, you will never see in a place like Gaza some Muslim men to say, we're not supposed to kill the Jew. If you speak it out loud like that, you become a hypocrite.
yep.
Go to 970th Street. Because I remember I asked you
Where?
to go to 970th Street earlier. Here is a punishment of the hypocrite. Who are the hypocrites? He said, by this, the world will know, he will know who among you are a hypocrite. What if he asks you to come engage in war for the sake of Allah or to contribute? I mean, literally, that's a clear verse in the Quran. If you're not willing to fight the Jewish people, if you're not willing to give money to help the Jewish people, you are a hypocrite. You are
So,
closer on the day to infidelities and to face. That is what Allah said in the Quran about the hypocrite. Now, what Muslims supposed to do? Love the hypocrites? Only kill the infidels and leave the hypocrite alone? What did Allah say in that verse, brother?
so Muhammad is commanded to engage in war and be harsh against the infidels and the hypocrites. O you prophet, perform jihad against the infidels and the hypocrites and be harsh with them.
And their abode
So
will be hell. And by
their
the
abode
way,
will be hell. Yeah.
hell in Islam, I know you know that, Lloyd, but for our wonderful audience, there are actually 7 hells in Islam. 7 hells, if you can imagine with me. 7 hells. The first hell is for the Muslims and those who say there is no God except Allah, Muhammad is the Messenger. They're Muslims. They're going to be there for some time, and they're going to be removed from hell number 1. Hell number 2 is 700-degree hotter, and that is for the Christians. Hell number 3 is 7 degree hotter than the previous hell, and that's for the Muslims. And then you go to the Sabaean, and then you go to the Mushrikeen, to the Mushrikeen and idol worshiper. Hell number 7 is for the hypocrites, and all the people from hell number 2 to hell number 7, they will never leave hell. They will be in hell forever and ever. So if Allah gives Muhammad the command to perform jihad against the hypocrites. These are the moderate Muslims, if you want to understand what is hypocrite. The Muslim who does not believe we should ever kill the Jews or the Christians, or will not support the killing financially of the Jews and the Christians. Those Muslim hypocrites will go to hell number 7 forever and ever. And Muhammad was commanded by Allah to kill them. That's why, as we saw in the video earlier, why Hamas are killing their own people of Gaza. They are killing the Palestinians right now because they figured out these are hypocrites. They are not going to join them. They're going to be celebrating the peace deal. Oh, no. Are you going to help us to kill the Jew? No. Okay, you're a hypocrite. And then we're going to kill you. That's what Muslims always do from the days of Muhammad until today.
Yeah, interesting. 12 minutes ago, Trump says Hamas must disarm or be disarmed, perhaps violently. So, I mean, they could be signed. You know what? For all we know, Trump is just giving them rope, just enough to hang themselves. If they don't disarm, we will disarm them, and it will happen quickly and perhaps violently. So maybe he's giving them rope to hang themselves. You know, Trump said he communicated to Hamas and they'd agreed to disarm. I spoke to Hamas and I said, "You're going to disarm, right?" "Yes, sir, we're going to disarm." That's what they told me. So,
When
yeah,
they're going to
re-emergent
disarm?
Hamas fighters demonstrated their grip by executing men in the street.
When this was written, is just today?
12 minutes ago. Updated 12 minutes ago. This is, yep, that's 12 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, that's what we thought. We talked about, you and I, just a few minutes ago as well. Only God knows. Only God knows what's coming in the next few days. Maybe actually the next few hours. If they continue, listen. If they continue to kill their own people in the streets of Gaza, I think we have all the right to wipe them out. And we'll use the excuse to stop them from killing the poor people of Gaza.
Yeah.
I think what an awesome and excellent excuse. And the whole world are, I mean, we saw the video what they did yesterday. You don't shoot your own people for no reason except you're mentally ill. You need to be annihilated. You need to be
Rabid
removed.
dogs. Rabid dogs. I mean, yeah. Yeah, at some point, you can't negotiate. You can't negotiate with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll continue to watch the news, and if something happened in the next day or two, we can jump on the camera and we can share a little bit with our wonderful people, those whom we love, and I know they love you. So please share that video, guys. Share that video with your friends, and let them know if something ever happened. We will come back
Yeah.
share about what's going on in that beast deal, which we
Yeah.
will call this the current events show. How about that?
I wonder what happened
Otherwise,
to Mr. Talmud earlier, because very odd he never came back. Obviously
he left.
but these are hypocrites. They're okay with Islam and Islamic scriptures saying whatever. They're fine with that because they are the
But here's
hypocrites.
another fact here I have to understand that killing in the Bible is true. We do not deny there was killing in the Old Testament. As a matter of fact, I wrote a whole book about it, jihad, holy war in the Bible,
But it is
and
not
that killing
prescriptive. It's descriptive. It's historical.
it is for specific piece of land for wiping people for their sins. And when the Jewish people sin the same sin of these people's sins, like maybe offering their own children as a sacrifice, a burnt offering to these false gods of the people, original people of the land, God also wiped out his own Jewish people. He killed his own people for the same sin. So it's a punishment for a sin for a specific people of land. You know what happened in the end of King David's life? I wrote about it in my book as well. When he decided to count his own men, those who can fight 20 and older. And we know from the scripture, Old Testament, whenever a king count his own people, that means he's going to war. God did not like it because David decided to be like Hitler or decided to be like Mussolini or any of these people who are going to invade the whole world. Alexander the Great. And God gave him three choices where the punishment of God is coming on him, on his people. And thousands of his own people were killed by God because God did not want David to take over Turkey and Egypt and Syria and Jordan. No, David, you are limited in these wars in that specific piece of land. You don't go out of it. And we know for sure that killing in the Bible ended. Not because the God of the Old Testament is different than the God of the New Testament. He's one
Uh,
God. And so many people, Lloyd, will tell me, you see, Brother Usama, the God of the Old Testament is a harsh God. The God of the New Testament is a loving and a peaceful God. I say, you got it wrong. The God of the Old Testament is a just God. You sin, you die. He did it to his own people, the Jewish people. The God in the New Testament is more harsher than you can imagine. He killed his own son for our sins. Yes, Jesus no longer stoned the woman who committed adultery according to the law of the Old Testament because he put his own son, our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ, on the cross to take her place and take my place and take your place, those who are watching us right now. So the God of the Bible is not, it's not the difference, it's the same. Except in the New Testament, his love met with his justice, and he
yeah.
allowed his son to take our place on the cross. That is only different. We don't kill in the New Testament because Jesus died. But guess what? There's
Yeah.
eternal hell
We
also
can
in
just
the New
look at the
Testament.
example of Muhammad and his companions versus Jesus and the apostles.
Yeah,
Vastly
yeah,
different example. Candace Owens has lost her tiny little mind. That's all I can say. So yeah, I think we wind down here. Yeah, everyone, let's pray for peace. Let's hope for peace. But also, I think we've also maybe lost touch with the fact that sometimes we must destroy our enemies. If you
yeah,
look at Berlin after the end of World War II, it looked as bad as Gaza does today. And
yeah,
no one complained. No one called it a genocide. The Germans settled millions of people in the countries they conquered, like in
yeah,
Poland and Eastern Europe. And I believe up to 12 million people. After Germans lost the war, these people had to go back to their homes. And so I believe something like 12 million people were supposed to make the trek on foot in winter. And I don't know if 12 million died, but millions died. And people didn't care. They were like, you started the war. We don't care. You are civilians. Sure, you took our homes. You weren't combatants, but you know what? We don't care. Look at that history. And I don't see
But
why we should be bleeding hearts on every issue now anymore. Yeah.
yeah, Lloyd, but that's not how the liberals look at war today. That's not how liberals look at even what's happening in America. In America, in Chicago, in any day, 10, 12 black people are killed by black people every day. And all it take one and every 5 years, a white man kill a white officer kill a black man. Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is like crossing the line. And so you talk about genocide. Why not one liberal in America talk about the genocide of the Palestinians by Hamas? I never heard anybody today. Have you?
No, no, it's we know how it is. You know how it is. So look, but at some point, I mean, if we're being pushed into tribalism and have to pick a side, I'm
Yeah,
picking my side, and I know what side. Then, if they want
and that
war,
yeah, that is the true nature of war. People die. Innocent people die, civilians die, especially if your leaders are picking up schools, hospitals, and mosques to launch rocket on Israel. I'm sorry.
you know,
Geneva Convention said it is no longer a civilian land, it is a war land. End of story. Anything else
thank
you want to
you.
say, Lloyd?
I just want to say thank you to Silver Mubasher for the donation. That was £10. Thank you very much. And he says James 3:9-10, which is the same tongue that praises God is used to curse people made in God's image, creating an inconsistency that should not occur. So with the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing.
That's
So
terrible. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we don't want to condemn others unfairly, but also we are called to actually make moral judgments. And we're also not called to, well, Jesus was called to lay down his life. I don't believe I was specifically called to lay down my life. Paul speaks in Romans of the sword is used for justice. The government wields the sword. And we are not called to die as martyrs for no reason, right? To simply let the enemy come in and take over and destroy the Christian culture you've built, which many countries have done or are in the process of doing. I will fight if I need to protect my country, my family, my place of residence. And yeah, and I think the enemy is evil. And I think you have every reason and every right to fight. And yeah, I mean, for those who allow darkness in without doing anything, I mean, I think that's shameful. And to call yourself a Christian when you have no backbone, no courage. I mean, consider the martyrs; they had courage, right? Early Christians had courage; they died for their faith.
Right.
You know?
And Lloyd, you know what? Sometimes people would say, well, the Bible said turns the other cheek. I said, yes, I turn the other cheek personally if you attack me. But if you're going to touch my wife, my daughter, my son, you're dead. Why? Because the same Bible which teach me to turn the other cheek, it is the same Bible which teach me to love my wife as Christ loves the church. How did Christ love the church? Give her a box of chocolate to eat to get fat? No. Give her some flour to make her feel good about itself? No. Christ died for the church. And if I'm commanded by God to love my wife as Christ loves the church, that means I have to die for my wife. That is what it is.
Uh,
So personally, I forgive you if you want to hit me. But you want to hit my wife? You want to hit my daughter? You want to hit my son? Over my dead body.
yeah, no, you're right. I agree. Silver Mubashir, thank you. You clarified they are evil and they curse us. Yes, they do. I mean, in Islam, it is normal to curse the non-believer, and they hate you. This is what they require. Allah hates us. Therefore, the Muslims cannot be our friends. They must hate us too. Anyone who does this is either violating Islam or simply practicing deception. And that's that. And we need to, at some point, acknowledge that these are a different moral system that we're dealing with. These are people with different culture, different beliefs, and they're not compatible at the end of the day. And now the clash is there. I mean, so this is why sadly, but war is coming, and I think we all need to learn how to fight. We all need to know how to protect ourselves, and yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Osama.
God is good. Love you, brother. Appreciate you for taking my request for this show. And as I promised, it will be a short one. So here it is, short one. Please,
Nice.
guys, share it and like it, and let Let's the word spread out, and hopefully and prayerfully, we'll see some justice done. These are not people of peace. These are savage, and if we
Yep.
don't get rid of them today, they will get rid of us tomorrow. That's a
And do it.
fact.
Yeah, justice carries a sword. Bear that in mind.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, you
God
guys.
bless you guys.
Good night. God bless.
Good
See
night.
you all next time. Thank you. Bye.